You're trying to cut through all the noise? Yeah. Get straight to what matters, understand what's actually shaping things.
That's what most of us want, I think.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today. We're doing a deep dive into a pretty significant international event happening this year, May 27th and 28th, 2025. It's in Las Vegas.
Right, the 7th WCH Royal Summit.
That's the one. It's all about bringing people together, to focus on building a more, compassionate and just world.
A big goal.
It is. And a really key figure who's going to be someone the organizers are, frankly, really honored to have is His Holiness Rinpoche Rigzin Dorjee. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Who is he? And why is his involvement in this summit this May such a big deal?
Well, it's compelling, isn't it? You've got this major summit focused on humanitarian ideals, and then you have someone participating whose entire life seems to embody those ideals.
Okay, so let's start there. His Holiness Rinpoche Rigzin Dorjee. Tell us a bit about him.
Okay, so he was born in Tibet, June 4th, 1954, and the general view is that he's someone who really lives these core Buddhist principles, but with a lot of grace and humility.
Right.
His life's work really centers on selfless service, helping others without wanting anything back, and a deep commitment to easing suffering around the world.
Is there like a guiding principle or motto associated with him?
There is. It's be equal, have love and compassion for all living beings. Pretty direct, gets right to the heart of it.
Okay, selfless service, that can sound a bit abstract sometimes. Do we have concrete examples of his work?
Oh, absolutely. The information points to some very tangible things. For instance, he coordinated getting over 30,000 kilograms. That's like 30 tons of clothing delivered.
Wow, 30 tons. Where'd that go?
To communities in need in Sikkim, India. And you have to think, that's a massive logistical effort.
For sure. What's the impact beyond just, keeping people warm?
Well, that's a great point. Providing clothing on that scale, especially new or good quality clothing, it does more than provide physical comfort. It can really restore a sense of dignity, of respect for people.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a direct way of showing you care.
Exactly. And his work also heavily focuses on vulnerable children. He's been instrumental in setting up and supporting free schooling, providing food, clothing.
For which groups?
For impoverished and orphan kids from Tibetan, Bhutanese, Indian, and Nepali communities. I mean, for these children, he really represents a beacon of hope, a source of stability they might not otherwise have.
So it sounds like it's not just one-off big projects, but sustained support.
Precisely. That consistency is key. You mentioned it's not just the big clothing drives. There's also this ongoing commitment to providing essentials like vitamins and medical prescriptions for those who can't afford them.
That kind of continuous effort, that feels particularly meaningful.
It really is. And that sustained medical help, it directly mirrors a core Buddhist idea, active compassion, extending loving care to the vulnerable day in, day out. It's putting the philosophy into practice.
Okay, so we have this picture of extensive humanitarian work, but he's also a significant spiritual figure, right?
Right.
We see titles like Vajra Master. What does that signify?
Right. The title Vajra Master basically indicates exceptional leadership and proficiency in advanced Buddhist spiritual practices.
Like meditation?
Yes, like meditation, yoga, and also someone qualified to lead others in specific, powerful empowerment rituals within the tradition. It points to deep personal realization and the ability to transmit that understanding.
Okay. And then there's another title, Khyentse Dorjee Chang. That sounds even more significant, perhaps.
It does, yeah. Khyentse Dorjee Chang represents a really comprehensive mastery over what's called the 9 jhanas of Buddhist teachings.
The 9 jhanas.
Think of the 9 jhanas as a sort of complete roadmap, a systematic framework covering all the diverse schools and practices within Buddhism. Holding this title suggests an incredibly deep, all-encompassing grasp of Buddhist philosophy. It points to a very, very advanced stage of spiritual development.
So we're talking about someone who combines this immense practical compassion with really profound spiritual wisdom.
Exactly.
And interestingly, he's also been recognized outside of purely spiritual or humanitarian circles. He received a knighthood from the Royal Maharlika.
Yes, that's right. And that knighthood specifically recognized his contributions to things like environmental protection, promoting positive societal change, and working towards global peace and unity.
So it broadens the scope of his impact.
It really does. It shows his influence is acknowledged in these broader areas affecting the well-being of, well, everyone and the planet itself.
Okay, so bringing this all back to the summit in Las Vegas, this May the 7th WCH Royal Summit, it becomes much clearer now why having him there is considered so important.
Absolutely. It really underlines this meeting point of, spiritual insight, practical humanitarian action, and global conversation. His Holiness brings both that deep spiritual perspective and decades of hands-on experience dealing with human suffering.
And his values seem to align perfectly with the summit's goals.
Very much so. His whole life dedicated to global well-being, to peace it, resonates directly with the summit's mission.
It sounds like the organizers are genuinely thrilled he's attending.
They really are. The organizers We Care for Humanity, or WCH, the Royal Maharlika, the Sultanate of Maguindanao, and they're working with the Philippine Honorary Consulate of Las Vegas.
That's quite a group.
It is. And the summit chairperson, Queen Miriam Leonora Torres Mistura, who's also the founder of WCH, they all view his attendance as a distinct privilege, a real honor. They're eagerly awaiting the wisdom he'll share.
His presence must add a certain weight, a certain dimension to the event.
Definitely. It emphasizes that critical role of compassion and ethical leadership in facing the really complex challenges we have globally.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. His Holiness Rinpoche Rigzin Dorjee, born in Tibet in 1954. He's clearly a person of incredible depth, a highly respected spiritual leader, with titles signifying profound wisdom, mastery of Buddhist teachings, and at the same time a deeply committed humanitarian. His actions have brought real, tangible help and hope to so many people, especially vulnerable children.
That practical side is crucial.
Yeah. And his core message, equality, love, compassion for all living beings, makes his participation in this 7th WCH Royal Summit this May 2025 a truly significant thing. Hopefully, you now have a much clearer picture of why he's such a noteworthy figure for this global gathering.
And maybe that leaves you with something to think about. How can we, more effectively bring those principles, compassion, selfless service, the things His Holiness exemplifies, into tackling the huge challenges our world faces today?
That's a good question.
Perhaps looking into what the summit organizers are doing, or maybe even exploring the teachings of His Holiness yourself, could offer some valuable perspectives.